My delusional boss thought she was untouchable. She truly believed that because she was the owner of a mall kiosk, she could treat her employees like serfs and withhold my hard-earned money to protect her precious net worth. She stood there, laughing in my face, telling me I'd get paid when she felt like it. She didn't know who I was, and she definitely didn't know that I'd already made a phone call to the one group of people scarier than the police. I watched her face go from smug arrogance to absolute terror as federal agents surrounded her little kingdom. She thought she could steal from me. Well, watch how she instantly regrets crossing a broke college student with nothing to lose. This isn't just revenge. This is nuclear karma. Before we watch her entire empire crumble to the ground, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. And if you hate entitled bosses who think they're above the law, smash that like button right now to summon the instant karma police. Trust me, you're going to enjoy this one. Let's get into the story. This happened a few years ago. I was young, broke, and desperate for cash. So I picked up a part-time job working at the mall. You know those kiosks in the middle of the hallway that harass you while you're trying to walk to the food court? Yeah, that was my life. We sold t-shirts, ball caps, and novelty golf balls. The company had this edgy catchphrase printed on everything. Shut up and some, followed by whatever sport you played. Shut up and fish. Shut up and golf. It was tacky, but honestly, it sold. People ate that stuff up. I was a good worker. I worked the graveyard shift of the retail world late afternoons until the mall closed. Monday through Friday, I stood on my feet for hours on concrete floors, smiling at rude customers, folding t-shirts with military precision, and never stealing a dime. But then there was the owner. Let's call her Brenda. Brenda wasn't just a bad boss, she was a textbook narcissist. She had the personality of a nut bar dipped in toxic waste. She acted like she was the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, but she was running a plywood stand next to a pretzel shop. Brenda was the classic golden child of her family. She'd brag to me during shift changes, holding her iced coffee like it was a scepter. My daddy bought me this franchise, she'd say, checking her nails. He wants me to learn responsibility, but honestly, I'm just here to manage the net worth until my inheritance kicks in. I shouldn't even be working. She felt entitled to my time, my energy, and apparently my patience. She would sit on a stool, texting her friends, while I reorganized the entire inventory. If I sat down for 3 seconds, she'd snap her fingers. OP lean, don't clean, clean. Don't lean God. Do I have to do everything? I swallowed my pride every single day because I needed the money. My rent was due, my tuition was looming, and my bank account was hovering dangerously close to zero. I was the nice guy. I covered shifts. I stayed late. I listened to her complain about her ex-husband dragging her through family court. I thought if I kept my head down and did the work, I'd get my paycheck and survive. I was wrong. The betrayal didn't happen all at once. It was a slow burn that exploded in my face. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I showed up for my shift at 4:00 p.m. sharp, wearing that ridiculous uniform smock. I was ready to clock in. Brenda was there, counting cash in the register. I walked behind the counter. Hey Brenda, I'm here to relieve you. She didn't even look up. She just waved her hand dismissively, like she was shooing away a fly. I don't need you today, she said, her voice dripping with boredom. I paused, half zipped into my smock. Excuse me, I'm on the schedule. I took the bus here. Yeah, well, it's slow, she snapped, finally looking at me with those cold, dead eyes. I'm staying. Go home. My stomach tightened. Okay, well, no notice, no nothing. Fine, when should I come back? She shrugged. I don't know. I'm unsure. Maybe tomorrow, maybe never. I'll text you. I took a deep breath. I could feel the heat rising in my neck. All right, Brenda, since I'm here, and it is payday, can I at least get my check? I have bills due tomorrow. This is where the delusional behavior kicked into high gear. She laughed, a short, cruel chuckle. "It's not done up yet," she said. "Come back tomorrow." "Brenda, it's payday. You legally have to pay me today." I said, she raised her voice, causing a few shoppers to glance over. "It is not ready. Get out of my kiosk before I call security." I left, shaking with rage. I went home, ate instant noodles because I couldn't afford groceries, and tried to sleep. The next afternoon, I went back. I walked up to the kiosk, my heart pounding against my ribs. "Check. Now," I said, skipping the pleasantries. She was on the phone. She held up a finger to silence me. I stood there for 5 full minutes while she gossiped about her family court dates and how her ex was trying to steal her inheritance. Finally, she hung up. "You're annoying. You know that?" she sneered. "I still don't have it. My accountant is busy. Come back Friday." That was the breaking point. I felt a cold wash of clarity. She wasn't disorganized, she was broke, and she was using my wages to float her business. She was stealing from me. "I'm not coming back Friday," I said quietly. "I'm going to the police." She laughed in my face. "Go ahead. The police don't handle payroll disputes, you idiot. It's a civil matter. Good luck suing me with no money." She was right about one thing. The mall police were useless. I went to their office, hyperventilating. The officer looked at me with pity. "Kid, she's right. We can't force her to open the register. But," he leaned in, lowering his voice, "management might shut them down if they don't pay. It's against the lease to violate labor laws." I went to mall management. They told me I needed to escalate this. They gave me one piece of advice that changed everything. Call Revenue Canada. For my American listeners, that's the IRS. But scarier, I didn't just call, I went to war. I phoned Revenue Canada and secured an appointment for a few days later. I walked into that federal building with a folder full of my hours, my schedule, and a written log of every interaction with Brenda. The agent I met was a serious man. Let's call him Agent Wolf. He didn't smile. He listened to my story, his eyes narrowing as I described how she paid people in cash sometimes, how she forgot to issue pay stubs, and how she refused to pay on schedule. "She's withholding wages," Agent Wolf asked, his pen hovering over the paper. "Yes. And she claims she's protecting her net worth," I added. Agent Wolf made a phone call, then another. He looked at me. "Do you know where she banks? Mall management gave me everything," I said, sliding a piece of paper across the desk. "Name of the business, the owners, bank info, everything." Agent Wolf typed furiously for a moment. Then he stopped. He looked at his partner. "Freeze it." My heart skipped a beat. "Freeze what?" "Her accounts," Agent Wolf said calmly. "We're going for a ride." We drove to the mall in a government vehicle. Me, a broke college kid, sitting in the back of a car with 2 federal revenue agents. We walked into the mall. I felt like I was in a movie. We approached the kiosk. Brenda was there, looking smug as she sold a golf ball to a tourist. When she saw me, her eyes rolled. "I told you to come back Friday. I'm calling security." Then she saw the suits. She saw the badges. "Revenue Canada," Agent Wolf boomed. His voice cut through the noise of the food court. "We are shutting this business down immediately for failure to comply with federal labor and tax regulations." Brenda's face turned a color I've never seen before, somewhere between gray and translucent white. You can't do that. My father..." "Your assets are frozen," Agent Wolf interrupted. "We are seizing the inventory to cover unpaid wages and potential tax evasion liabilities." Brenda started hyperventilating. Wait, I can pay him right now." She frantically dug around in her purse, her hands shaking so hard she dropped her pen twice. She ripped a check out of her book. "Here," she shoved it at me. "Take it and leave." I looked at the check. My jaw dropped. I had worked 2 full weeks. The check should have been for around $800. The check she handed me was for $400. I showed it to Agent Wolf. She deducted half of it. Agent Wolf looked at Brenda. What is this deduction, income tax? Brenda screeched. I have to take off taxes. Agent Wolf looked at the check, then at her. You deducted 50% for income tax on a minimum wage part-time job. He took the check from my hand. We'll be taking this as evidence of fraud. He turned to his partner. Audit them, 7 years back, personal and business accounts. Brenda let out a sound like a dying animal. 7 years. You can't, I have family court. I have legal fees. You'll bankrupt me. You should have thought of that before you stole from your employee, Agent Wolf said coldly. They forced her to close the grate. They put a notice on the kiosk. I stood there, watching her kingdom crumble. It was the purest form of instant karma I have ever witnessed. The fallout was spectacular. The revenue agents took the income tax she had illegally deducted from that check and credited it to my account, ensuring I wouldn't owe the government a dime. They eventually cut me a check for the full amount she owed me, taken directly from her seized assets. But for Brenda, it was the end. The audit revealed exactly what I suspected. She wasn't just stealing from me, she was cooking the books to hide money from her ex-husband in family court and dodging taxes to inflate her lifestyle. She was playing a dangerous game, and I was the domino that knocked it all down. Update. I heard through the grapevine another mall worker who saw the drama that the business never reopened. The mall management evicted her for breach of contract due to the federal seizure. Apparently, the 7-year audit effectively bankrupted her. The inheritance she was waiting for, gone. It all went to pay back taxes, penalties, and legal fees. Her net worth is now in the negatives. Last I heard, Brenda had to move back in with her parents, the same ones she used to brag about. She's no longer the golden child, she's the family embarrassment. As for me, I finished school. I got a real job with a boss who actually pays me, and every time I walk through a mall and see an empty spot where a kiosk used to be, I smile. Don't mess with the quiet ones. We might just have the feds on speed dial. Have you ever had a boss try to steal your wages? Did you get karma? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories of entitled people getting exactly what they deserve.